Okay, so the next area that I'm going to work in transitions really nicely from the nose, and that is the upper lip and the lips. And so there's some things that you want to be mindful about how they reflect value while you're working. And so I'm again going to use my hard charcoal and my 6B charcoal to kind of build up value here. So I did, with my eraser, pull out kind of the highlight on the Cupid's bow here. And so now I just want to kind of look to kind of add more value on top of my toned ground here. And I want to look and kind of just pay attention to how the nostril kind of shifts into the direction of that form. Okay, and then so a couple things to tidy up with my shadow here, actually. Some parts that are just a tiny bit too dark there, I'm going to just go in. Lighten a bit. As well. Okay, and then I want to look at how the value shifts and changes kind of on my upper lip here. And so I have this Cupid's bow area here, and then there's a little bit of light value kind of on this side of my upper lip. And then I also kind of need to add a little bit more value on my cheek here too. So I want to look at how everything kind of transitions value-wise. There is kind of some reflected light here as well. And I have a line there that needs to be softened too. Actually just going to take my white eraser and just kind of soften that. So I'm not pressing very hard, I'm just kind of mushing that line into that area. I had already used the kneaded eraser there a little bit, but I don't want to take the value away, but I want to take the line away because the line is just a little bit too intense in that area. Okay, these edges are going to blend in later on as well, if you were wondering about that. You might not have as many lines for the edges of shadows there, being that you are younger. Okay, and so now that I'm kind of keeping consistent with my light source and looking at how things kind of transition here, the next thing that I want to do is work on the lips. And so the lips, you want to think about kind of those basic shapes that you started to draw when you did your sketch. And your top lip tends to be more in shadow. And so I like to start with that center kind of like kidney bean shape in the middle and just kind of work on just kind of some feathered strokes kind of outward in the middle there. And then I'm going to go ahead and kind of do some feathered strokes out here, going outward in that other overlapping shape and outward this way on that overlapping shape. Okay, and I'm just using my hard charcoal right now to just add a little bit of value to the lips there. Okay, then I'm going to take my 6B charcoal and just at the center of the lips start to add the darker value and just kind of bring back the line there between my two lips. Feels a little soft and fuzzy right now, so I think I'm actually going to take my blending stump and kind of just soften that a bit by blending it. And I'm just blending it in a way that there's still like a really dark edge between the lips. Soften that line up too. So I'm not blending all of the 6B there, but just blending some of it. Okay, and then I'm also going to soften the edge of my lips here too. I might need to take this in and just kind of swipe some of that away. That line is just a little too bumpy, and so I'm going to clean it up by just taking my kneaded eraser in there and over here too. Sometimes there is kind of like a lighter border around your lips, like besides where the Cupid's bow is. And so if you see that, you want to add that in. Okay. All right, and then the bottom lip actually tends to be lighter. It tends to kind of catch and like reflect more light. And so I'm gonna go in, I actually kind of need to change, bottom lip feels a little lopsided, so I'm gonna have to kind of redraw that. But you can see I'm using strokes that mimic the texture of my lips there. And so I'm gonna leave more light values on that bottom lip. Now the bottom, the very, very bottom will be a little bit darker because the form kind of curves down away. Or kind of down and back. All right, and then I do need to bring this line back in too. So because charcoal is so soft, sometimes you end up having to just reinforce and accent your values a little bit more. Okay, and then I'm going to continue to work back and forth between the 6B and the hard charcoal. I'm going to start looking at the transition from the lips into the chin, into the cheeks. I want to make sure that I lighten some of those lines that I made when I did the contour lines with the 6B pencil. I made them darker so you would be able to see them more easily on camera, but their dark contrast to the lighter value in my skin tone is starting to make me look pretty aged. So I need to soften those areas up, but also continue to work with form.